Good morning, everybody. Come on in, rather good afternoon, because it's like 12:30 in the afternoon. So surprise, surprise, I'm gonna be doing a little face to face with you today. Just been sort of doing some soul searching and thinking about some things. So I'm out here on the back porch and my screened in porch, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but if you can see, it's very overcast. So I think it's probably a result of what's going on in Houston. It's very overcast. And y'all, it's so cool. It feels so good out here this morning that I decided when I first got up, I got sort of late today because I was sort of relaxing a little bit. So I'm carrying my relaxation over on into the afternoon. So I'm going to stay around the house a little while today. Got my grandson here with me. It's in the afternoon, but he's still resting because he does some recording. So he was up late last night, so I'm going to let him rest a little bit. So there's a little mist in the air, and it is so nice and cool. Can you see on my bromelade here where the wind is sort of rustling it? If you sort of look up a little bit, you can see the trees sort of blowing in the wind. So we got a nice, easy, breezy, overcast day today. And hopefully it's going to stay like this. It rained some last night. Again, I think this is sort of a carryover from what is going on rather in Houston and the people in that area. And before I go any further, let's just say we're going to keep those people lifted in prayer but for the grace of God, it could be us. So we think about what goes on in the world all day, every day, and as you know, time waits for no one, and your circumstance doesn't stop somebody else's necessarily unless you're directly connected to them. So for all the people that are in Houston who are going through what they're going through with the weather, for all of those who have perished, Lord, we just lift them up to you. We lift up those families. We lift up every plight of every individual that is having to personally, directly go through what they're going through this morning. So I just wanted to take time out to just stop and say that, because so often we talk about it among ourselves and sometimes to ourselves, or we walk by the television and just say, we feel sorry for people and we feel bad that people go through what they go through, but we rarely just sit and really reflect. So that's what I'm going to be doing here today. And this is also going to be the beginning of something that I'm going to test out, and hopefully you'll come along with me because my thoughts have been since last week about reflecting on where you are in life, how you fit in other places in life outside of your own. And oftentimes we don't really know where we are in life because we do things so routinely, so happenstance, so matter of factly, and a lot of times we don't take the time to reflect. I believe wholeheartedly in that man in the mirror concept, that if you don't know that man in the mirror, it's hard for you to know anything or anyone else. So we're going to be going through a little thing. I'll introduce it to you later on in the week. I'm still putting it together. So today is just a little tip off of that, and especially to say, again, a prayer for those people who are suffering in the Houston, Texas area and in the surrounding area, because we never know. I live in North Carolina, and we get a lot of inclement weather sometimes, and we are there where our hearts and our mouths. We don't know if our house is going to flood. I thank God I've never been flooded per se, but I know friends who have, even this past year. So it's a hard time. If you've never been through it, I pray that you never have to go through it. But in the meantime, these people in Houston, our friends, our neighbors, our sisters, our brothers, in some cases family members, are going through it right now, and we need to just keep them lifted in prayer and know that God is in control no matter what is going on there in Houston. God is in control. So let's just move on through to what I'm going to be talking to you about here for a little while. I'm going to still continue to cook. As you can see, I've already prepared mine. I just felt like some raisin toast and a couple pieces of sausage, and I had watermelon left over, so I'm going to have my watermelon this afternoon rather. So this is sort of a late brunch on into lunchtime today because it is 12:30 in the afternoon. I've got some green tea. It's by Lipton, and in that green tea I've got some a little bit of just a half a teaspoon of brown sugar and a couple packs of stevia. I use stevia for my sweetener for the most part, but I wanted that brown sugar flavor this morning. And I've got some dry mix called pomegranate, and it's by IGA Grocers. So I dumped a little bit in there. You know how I like to experiment with flavor. So this is a very good green tea with a pomegranate flavor to it, and with a little brown sugar and some stevia. And I put just a drop of mint. Now, you know when you use mint oil, you have to be very careful because it's very strong. So I just put just a drop of mint in that tea. And this is an oversized cup, as you can see. But it is a great drink. And of course, I've got me a nice glass of ice water in the end to wash it all down. So I'm just going to say to you again this morning, just keep Houston, Texas in your prayers, and we'll just keep it moving right along. So I'm going to bless my food and just thank God for this food that I'm receiving for the nourishment of my body this morning. And I pray that the widows, the orphans, the sick, the shut-in, and the homeless will be fully furnished and not have to ever beg bread. And of course, the people in Houston, Lord, we pray that they are fully furnished, that they have all the resources they need to weather this storm, and that they're being fully nourished and taken care of, especially those widows, those orphans, and the sick and shut-in. So we ask those blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. So let's just move on. I'm going to start on my breakfast here as I'm talking. These little sausage here are just some little banquet sausage. I don't even do a lot of meat, so I just wanted to do a couple of those, see what they taste like. But these are those little already cooked banquet sausage, and of course this is raisin toast. This is my tea. I love tea. Oh, I love tea. It's nice and hot and tart and tangy. And that watermelon, we taste tested it the other day on Tiny's show. It's still nice and sweet. I don't do a good job of talking and eating at the same time, so I am going to not talk and eat at the same time because I might get choked or something. And Kareem is sleeping. He might not hear me out here choking, so I'm not going to try to do the talking and eating thing. That's not my area. I figured that one out. So let me just take a sip here. Wash that. And this is the kind of meal that it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. You can still eat it later. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you for a few minutes here about a couple of items that have been sort of near and dear to me and sort of weighing on me, something I wanted to do. And it's talking about your world and where am I in my world? What am I doing in my world? Do I even recognize that I have a world? So the way I'm going to set this up is going to be like this. Okay, we're going to look at your world one day at a time on a 24-hour clock. And so what I'm going to do is set up some scenarios of my own out of what I do on a daily basis. And I want to see, I am curious about me. First of all, I'm curious because I've never done this really. I used to teach a class called time management. And of course it was scripted, it was in a book, I was at work. I had a 2-day time frame to teach that course. And it was a great course, great lessons I learned from it, but I didn't always practice them in my life because I got all these things going on in my life. And now that I'm older, I think it's time for me to stop and really see some of those things that's going on in my life. And if you're like me, you're always curious about what's going on around you. I always like to know what is going on around me. So I'm very curious about, what I do with those 24 hours that God gives me each and every day. So what I'm going to do, because I stay up late at night, I'm going to start my 24 hours at midnight because I'm still up at midnight. So I'm going to go from midnight until midnight on my clock. You can start your clock wherever you want to. You can start it at midnight. You can start it at 6 o'clock, whatever. But the most important thing for you to do is that each hour to see what you're doing in that hour. Some days when I'm home, because I'm a TV buff, I like to watch certain things on TV. And now that they have Netflix and Hulu, they have these different little series and some things that are really good. If I miss them, I will binge watch 3 or 4 hours at a time. Let me tell you something. One series I watched 4 seasons in about 2 days. Now that was sort of ridiculous. I had to stop, and cook, do different things, but in about a 2 or 3 day time frame, I had watched 4 seasons, and some of those episodes there are anywhere from 12 to sometimes 20. So depending on how good it is. Now House of Cards, I'm telling you the truth. For me, I wish they would do it by the week because God knows I cannot watch one at a time because one makes you want to look at the other one. So I do a lot of that. So I want to see if I'm being productive with this time because sometimes you want to do things, you don't get these things accomplished. So I want to look at that time that I'm spending doing all these other things to see if my time is being productive and if I can cut out some things to get some of this other stuff that I really need to get done because I really don't need to binge watch 4 seasons of anything in a 3 day time frame, but I do it anyway. As a matter of fact, I am semi binge watching 2 things. One is Tyrant, and the other is something to do with fashion because I love fashion. So anyway, I watch all these kind of little things, and that fills my day because I am retired. But that doesn't mean I have to binge watch stuff on Hulu and Netflix all day every day, but I do. So we're going to sort of tackle it from that angle. So from the time that you get up in the morning, do you get up and sit? Do you get up and exercise? Do you go to the gym? Do you go to the Y? Whatever it is that you're doing in that 24-hour time frame. Because, often we say to people when they say, well, how's it going? Say, well, I'm taking it one day at a time. But do we really know what we're doing during that one day at a time? So I'm just curious. So if you want to go on that journey with me, maybe we can work out a way that we can sort of interact with each other, or maybe you can, send me a message out on my YouTube station to say, how you're doing, where you are on that 24-hour time frame, and just sort of compare notes. And what I'll try and do, if that's what you want to do, is I'll come back and let you know how it's going because I think every once in a while we just need to stop and reflect on what we're doing. Now, my plan is to do this for an entire month. You can do it for one day and maybe get what you need. You might do it for a week or 2 weeks. You might need to do it for a year. I don't know. But I'm going to do mine. I'm going to endeavor to do mine for 1 month just to see what Peggy is doing because I've got some things business-wise going on in my life and I've got to free up some space to get those things done. So I thought, why not just make it a fun thing? Why not make it be a reflective thing? Why not make it be something that's going to be worthwhile that maybe serve to help some of you all at home? Maybe you're retired, maybe you're working 2 jobs, you may be volunteering somewhere, you may be in organization. So just a little bit, just a fun way to manage your time a little bit better. So what we're going to do, like I say, today is just to give you heads up and to just sort of preview what's on my mind about what's staring back at you in your mirror. What is that individual doing? How much of what that individual is doing are you aware of? We might have some real big revelations. And I guess you wondering, maybe some of you wonder, wonder what made her come up with this? Well, in part because of what's going on in the world today. We got all these things going on with our finance, our personal finances, with our personal lives. We got political things going on. We got weather things going on. And it seems to me that every time they get to the news, they get to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So for me, it's time to stop and look at it. And one thing that's near and dear to my heart, I may or may not have shared with you, I've got at least, I got to go back and count them all. It's time to do another count. 20 odd grandsons and great-grands. So I have to, so I'll just say about 25 grandsons. We're just talking about the guys in the family, not the girls, because there's not that many girls, about 7 girls, but the guys, there are a lot. And lately I've been sort of interacting with them with a few things. They got some things going on in their lives that is making me stop and sort of get off the merry-go-round and look at where they are. Like I told you, I've got my 19-year-old grandson is spend a couple of days with me. He's doing some. He likes to write music. He's starting up his YouTube channel, so it's real quiet over here during the day. So he's over here, sort of writing and catching up on some things. So I got him hanging out with me for a couple of days. Last week, my grandson from Atlanta, Derek, he visited with his girlfriend. So, and then he shared, some things about his two brothers that are there in Atlanta. So I'm thinking, these grandboys are stirring around there doing things. And then I've got one grandson, McCall, just went into the Army. He's been in now in basic training now for, I think this may be his 5th week. Monica, forgive me if I got the time wrong. Monica is his wife, and she said that time is dragging. So hopefully I'm saying it right, that it's only, that it's been at least 5 weeks, weeks rather. And I believe he has 8 weeks of basic training to do. But I've got these men in my life who, for whatever reason, they're they sort of popping up. They're doing things. My oldest son that lives here in Goldsboro, he's just, he's coming to himself. You've seen him on with Tanya, and he's helping a friend out. He's been doing his humanitarian thing, helping a friend. So the guys in my life are doing a lot of stuff. And so I thought, you know what, let me stop and reflect on a few things, and eventually maybe I might get them to come in front of the camera and sit and talk about what they're doing and how they're feeling about some things. And we've got my older son that lives in Atlanta. He has 3 boys there, and he's doing some career changes. So there's just all kinds of things going on. Of course, I got that little 1.5-year-old old Norrique. He's doing some things and, toddling around. He's trying to talk. So there are guys all over the place in my life. And I've got a 10-year-old, his name is Antonio Jr., Man. He's just been recently asked to join the 10-year-old football league. So there he is. He's very intuitive, just a little gentle giant, and just a sweetheart. So when I think about all these young men in my life who are here with me, who I interact with almost on a daily basis, I think it's time for Grandma to just stop and see where she is, see where she needs to unplug and replug. And we have to know that we have to do that every once in a while. Sometimes we get so ingrained in what we're doing, sometimes away from our children and grandchildren. That's one situation. And then at other times, we get so dug into their lives and so intertwined into their lives. That would be me. Sometimes I have to back up and unplug. And, sometimes I get too much juice flowing, y'all. You get too much juice flowing, sometimes you have to unplug it, let that thing settle down. I just hear my husband say that about that hot wire, and watch out now, be careful with that electricity. Because sometimes you get too plugged in, you get too much juice going. You gotta unplug, assess the situation, see where you might need to stay unplugged, or you might need to plug in deeper or more, or get some more information. So we just need to assess sometimes what we're doing when we're interacting in other people's lives. And then sometimes we have to just pull off to the side, unplug completely, and see where we are inside and out. Over the years, we go through all kinds of hurts and disappointments and whatever like that, and we have to readjust to the things that come to our lives that create heartache, and things that create resentment, things that create grief. One of my personal things, I lost my husband in the last 3 years, and it's been a journey for me, because I think about, I was disconnected mentally, spiritually, financially, and just all over, just every bit of my fiber was tested. And so now I'm still putting that into perspective, but meanwhile, I got all these other things going on. So for me right now, I'm not unplugging. I would just say I have to pull, some things I had to unplug on. My business I had to unplug on. So now I plug back in. But I don't want to plug in too deeply on that, because I don't want to get too engrossed in that something else suffers or gets ignored. So right now, I need to see where am I really with this business situation, because the business that I do requires a lot of me spiritually and mentally and financially. So I have to watch where I plug in, because then I've got all these other family uh, commitments that I have to sort of, it's called balance. You have to balance those things out. And the only way that you can balance a situation, you have to have all the components. You have to work through it. You have to apply the formula. So that's what we're going to be talking about as a result of that, using that 24-hour clock to see where we are right now, where we want to go, how we're going to get there, and how we're going to balance it all out. So at the end of our time frame, the day, the week, the month, the year, then we'll come up with a workable solution. So for now, I'm going to sign off and say to you, have a wonderful, blessed Tuesday. I'm going to cut it off here in a few seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my brunch, lunch meal, and hope that your day is going to be a God-blessed day. And as soon as I get everything put together, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk some more about where are you in your 24 hours, one day at a time. Thank you for watching. Love you. Toodaloo.